September, we were standing at the station, waiting for a train. There was preaching Christian brothers, there was nuns and reverend mothers, there was guys and drunks and others, but everyone was just the same. Well, they came from Enniscorthy, from New Russell, Fens and Gorey. There was buses from Bunclody, and there was horses, carts and all. And as they stepped out on the platform, there was shouting and a screaming. And as they carried Larry Murphy, he looked 25 feet tall. So what's the story, man, the story? Now Wexford's really bound for glory. And when at last the cup was lifted, they said we brought it back for you. And we were dancing at the crossroads, in the shadow of a bonfire, underneath the silver moonlight. We were singing until dawn. Yeah, we were dancing at the crossroads.
So 25 years ago, in the summer of 1996, Wexford were dancing at the crossroads as Liam Griffin's side were crowned All-Ireland hurling champions. And to reflect on that summer, great to welcome back to the show former hurler of the year, Larry OGorman. And I suppose, first of all, Larry, have you got any mementos at home from that All-Ireland in 96?
I have everything at home in terms of what I brought from the All-Ireland itself. Would have been the great memories itself, and of course the medal and the awards that I won on that famous year. But yeah, the piece of history that sort of sticks with me closely would be the hurling ball after the game. So it was something that I said. After every game, I used to love getting the hurling ball and getting it signed by the team and stuff like that. So I picked up on the hurling ball straight after the end of the game. I caught it, as you can see in the old video clips, and I actually it was something that I treasure now every time I wake up and look at it in the morning time. So it's great. It's great to have a great memory. Memories are an amazing thing that sticks with you forever and ever. But when you get a little piece of history for yourself, you like to admire us, and I have that with me, and it's great.
Yeah, it must have been hard to hold on to that hurling ball, Larry, because I was looking back at some of the pictures, like the purple and gold were in on the field pretty quickly.
It was quite amazing, to be quite honest now. The way the game finished up, and I caught the ball at the end of the match, and I more or less ran towards the hill 16, and I knew a good part of my family were there, and most of my friends that would have travelled over the years would have always loved going to the hill because they'd always have a great banter with the opposition. And of course it was renowned now for all the guys that were like to have a little bottle or two of beer before the game, and they like to have a sing song, and they like to dance around the place. So Hill 16 was ideal for them kind of characters, and a lot of them characters would have been friends of mine, and they were there, and I even said to some of them, during the week, if I get a chance and we win this All-Ireland, I says, I'll definitely run up onto the hill and I'll punch the air, and this will be for you, and so that was quite amazing. But again, I got down off the fence and turned around to run back out to hug and jump up, to hug my players and mentors and whatever the whole lot. I was absolutely swarmed, and there's no way I couldn't take a step. Every time you took a step, you were pushed back 2 steps, and it was quite amazing. All right, the adrenaline that was going through your body was also going through their body, and they would smother you with hugs and pat on the back and different things like that. And I can understand now in today's world why the GAA more or less had to pull back on that over the years, because even though it was a great occasion to look back on, but it was quite a little bit of a nuisance, one would say, because everyone was pulling and dragging out you, and I never really got the chance to go over and hug some of the players on the field play. I did do a lot of that after it when we got back towards the Hogan stand and all that, but you get lost in it as well because you're caught up in the whole thing as well, and of course you enjoyed it. Of course, it was great to be lifted up on people's shoulders and carried across the field and all that stuff as well. But it would have been more special maybe if you would have got the group of players in around one another fairly quick, so you could hug and jump around and enjoy that little atmosphere, because that little moment, that we did it, yes, we achieved it, and it's when it's all scattered out and it takes a half an hour to get to do it all. Sometimes the fizz now is the very same as open a bottle of Fanta. When you shake it first and you open it, it explodes with excitement, and we were the very same, but it soon went a little bit flat. But it only went flat because we didn't really get the opportunity to hug and jump up and down and really celebrate with one another in the manner that you would normally see with people doing. But it was an amazing occasion, and our supporters were amazing. And when you sort of look back and realise what was actually happening, when you look back at the old videos, you realise there was thousands and thousands of people that were just itching to get in over the fence, over the wires, however they could get in onto the grounds of Croke Park was quite unbelievable when you look back at it. And you could see the players and a few other people being swarmed by the supporters. But it was a marvellous occasion, and we weren't only swarmed straight after the game. I think we were swarmed for the next 2 or 3 months, which was something lovely to behold, because whether it was in Wicklow coming home from the game or the homecoming in Gorey or Ferns or Enniscorthy, and especially my hometown of Wexford, was something that will also stick with me and stick with the rest of the players. We often speak about it, it was great excitement in the build-up to the game, and of course there was major excitement in the game, but we didn't realise what we were going to witness and come home to in terms of the volume of people that came out to support us, not only for the homecoming, but for a number of weeks after.
Yeah, can you describe that homecoming, Larry? And I suppose you were probably a little bit envious here in Waterford that you got to experience that, but can you just tell me about coming back to your hometown that night?
Yeah, well, after the match, the following day, I'll go through this fairly quick for you if you like. We went back to the Burlington. We met up with the Limerick guys. We once again had a bottle of beer or a bite to eat, and we had a little chat about it. Everything was good, and you could see the little sadness on their face, but you can't really take that away from us. I know we took the Liam McCarthy away from them, but in a sense, someone had to lose, and it could have been us. But thank God it wasn't us, and but they were very good in the whole thing after. The commiserations from their side, from our side to them, was appreciated by them, because they knew that it was either going to be us or them, and it was great to get together and have a good old chat about us. And after that, then we got on the bus and we started heading home on the journey back to the Stillorgan Park Hotel. Just picked up the rest of our gear and then headed home. We went through Arklow, going up along the main street in Arklow. You'd swear you were in the main street in Gorey, because there was hundreds and a good few number of thousands of people outside with bonfires, and they're all, we got a guard of honour through the town because there was a bit of chaos and stuff like that. But it was quite remarkable when you sort of turn around and look back to see, the likes of people in Wicklow that were cheering us on and egging us on as well, of course. And there's a number of Wexford people who would have lived in the area as well. So we were very close to Gorey, and that's the reason why we got a fantastic turnout. And Liam Griffin always spoke about it, the friendship and the turnout that we got from the Wicklow people will always be remembered with him anyway. We came into Gorey, which was quite remarkable. Just outside of Gorey, there was an open top bus waiting there for us. We jumped off one bus onto the next bus, and then as soon as we start going into Gorey, it was quite remarkable. I'd say from one end of the main street in Gorey, which would be about 2 mile or 1.5 miles or 2 mile long, you wouldn't get a breeze of wind through the crowd of people that were there. There were up to 30,000 people on the streets of Gorey, and it was quite difficult for the bus driver himself, because there was people pulling and dragging on the bus and stuff like that, and it was a little bit unusual, all right, but it was great. It was an amazing occasion, but everyone was in good form. There was a great bit of music going on the side streets, and there was music coming from the speakers set up by the council and stuff like that. And we stopped at the top of Gorey 64. We got out, we went up onto the roof of the 64 pub, and we were introduced to the players, and within a half an hour after that, then we were back on the bus then with a couple of trays of sandwiches and a few bottles of beer, and we were heading then for Enniscorthy, where it would be the home of Adrian Fenlon and Declan Rootney's lads as well. So we got another fantastic turnout there, and it was quite amazing as well. You have to say, God, where will this end? There can't be that many more people in Wexford that will come out to see us. We came into Wexford then, up by the race course in Wexford then, there was a bit of a break there for us as well, and the police, the Gardaí had come up and said, look, you'll be amazed now when you see what's waiting for you down here. And we were sort of a little bit, wow, what's this all about? What's this all about? So we got onto the bus, and on the front of the bus, would you believe it, right onto the nose of the bus, there was a dragon, just a head of a dragon, and we thought it was unusual to see the head of a dragon there. So it was Pete Bullows, I think, in Wexford, had set this up anyway for the boys, and we were wondering what it meant or what it was for, but of course, as we travelled on the bus, we could see the crowd as we were getting closer to the town. And my God, as soon as we went around the corner, the dragon on the front of the bus was blowing out flames, and then it was blowing out smoke. So the people couldn't really see the bus arriving, which was very unusual. And all of a sudden, we came through the smoke, and it was incredible. I was absolutely gobsmacked, to be quite honest, because I thought it was Hill 16 after arriving again in Wexford. There must be 50 to 60,000 people in my home. And I know they would have travelled from Moray and New Ross and Castlebridge, or wherever you name every little village that's around Wexford, Bunclody or whatever. It was quite remarkable to see so much people around the place. It was, wow, this is amazing what we've done for these people. It was a great honour in itself to win the All-Ireland and win an All-Ireland hurling medal, but you don't realise, and we didn't realise what we were about to face into, and it was quite amazing. And of course, we arrived into the car park. There was a big open deck, an open truck, and it was a big open side of it was all open, and there were speakers and everything set up. And of course, Liam Griffin got up and said a few words, and the Mayor of Wexford and a few other people got up, and they were all singing, dancing at the crossroads, and shouting the ball. And it was quite an amazing party. People say that these big crazy what they call concerts that you see all around the world with people singing and dancing and jumping up and down, and it was certainly, I was never at one of the likes of them, but I tell you one thing, this was the closest thing to it, because it was a quite amazing occasion for the players, and a lot of them were gobsmacked from start to finish, to be quite honest. And of course, I got the opportunity then to introduce the players then to my people, as I call them, because they're Wexford town people, and I introduced them one by one, and they got an amazing applause and a great cheer every time you named one of the players out to the supporters. And I well believe what happened after that. The fellas will tell you stories. We did finish up within 2 hours after that. We had ran behind time at the time. The Mayor of Wexford had laid on a dinner for us in Ferry Carrick Hotel. So we went out there, and I think it was at 2 o'clock or half 2 in the morning. Would you believe it? We got a civic reception. So that tells you how long the day was, from starting off at 12 o'clock at noon all the way across till half 2. Sitting down, imagine, half 2 in the morning having lunch, which was unusual, but it was great. It was great atmosphere, great banter and stuff like that, and people followed us everywhere we went. So it was quite amazing to witness all that, and it was amazing. When it was all over, say when we went back to the hotel, that we were able to sit down as a group together and have a good chat. And there was only a selection amount of people allowed in, of course. And that was the time we really sat down and we really enjoyed, and we could talk about what had happened over the previous 24, 48 hours.
Well, Larry OGorman, former hurler of the year of Wexford, thanks so much for sharing your memories of 1996.
Yeah, thanks very much, brother. But I must say, commiserations to Waterford on losing out in terms of what happened last year, but they're thereabouts. There's something similar to Wexford style. They're very passionate, very driven about it, and it's to keep at it and keep working at it and keep believing themselves. I think it's a great opportunity, and I just roll back to 96 there one more time for you. I had said it the night before the All-Ireland final, when I went up to see my mother and father before we headed off, and I normally did that after I'd been out at the hurling wall for maybe an hour or an hour and a half before the start of the night, before any big game, and I was going to see my parents before I'd head off the following morning. And I think the night before the All-Ireland final, we had a great chat about it, and it was quite emotional now, to be quite honest, for me to be heading off to my own little place, and just them two giving me a hug before I left the front door. And I just turned around on the gate of the house. I just turned around and he says, "Don't worry, Mum and Dad, I guarantee you I'll have that Liam McCarthy Cup here next Tuesday, Wednesday for you, and to come outside and we get a great photograph together with us." And I could see my mother getting very emotional about it. And would you believe it? The Tuesday, Wednesday after the All-Ireland, I was back down in my home place, sitting in the front car with my mum and dad, and arms around one another, and me in the middle stuck with the cup on my lap. And that's it. That's one of the greatest memories I'll get from it anyway. You promise that you'll do it, and when I delivered on it, it was a special occasion, and it was quite emotional, not only for mum and dad, for all of us. The family, we sort of thrived on hurling, we thrived on everyone playing sport or whatever. But when you set out for life and you win a special All-Ireland medal, and your family are big into it, it means an awful lot more. That you can sort of celebrate together. And it was an amazing occasion, a big one else. And Liam Griffin said, "You have the two most proudest parents in the world, Larry. You speak highly of him every time you chat to me and chat to other people in newspapers. You always talk about your parents and your family, and he said that's the nicest thing you can have in the world. And he says, you told me, he said, the morning of the All-Ireland final that you can't wait to bring Liam McCarthy home for your mum and dad to put their arms around us. And, he says, you did it, you've achieved it. So it's there for everyone to go and achieve it, but you make sure you get your homework done and you do the hard work. And, we wish Waterford all the best for this year and many years to come, and hopefully they can go through what we went through in terms of celebrating winning the Liam McCarthy.
Wexford hurling legend Larry OGorman rounding off this edition of Lorna Parka. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay safe, take care, and until next time, slán go fóill.
Now you're hurling Lorna Parka with Tomás McCarthy on WLR.